Okay. Hey. All right. So welcome back to another 10 poems. And today we're gonna have another 10 poems by like the same poet. So pretty interesting. So this guy, also very famous, called Meng Haoran. Uh maybe it's easier if we just look through the poems and then we'll learn more about him along the way lah. Okay? So now we have this first poem called 望洞庭湖赠张丞相. So a message from Lake Dongting to Premier Zhang. Okay. So let's begin. 八月湖水平，潭虚混太清，气中云梦泽。波看岳阳城，日记吴州籍。端居耻圣明，做官垂钓者，空有木于陷于情。Here in the 8th month, the waters of the lake are of a single air with heaven, and the mist from the Yun and Meng valleys has beleaguered the city of Yuezhou. Okay. Yuzhou. I should like to cross, but I can find no boat. How ashamed I am to be idler than you statesmen. As I sit here and watch a fisherman casting, and emptily envy him his catch. Okay. Wait, what zhou is this? I'm a bit confused. Pretty sure it's Yuezhou. Let's see. But anyways, Yueyang Cheng, right? That's what Yueyang City. That's what literally it says. So maybe let's start with the context for this. I know we've read also last week about this Dongting Hu. So it's just this really famous, this Lake Dongting. So just this really famous lake, the second largest freshwater lake in China, in Hunan. And okay, and then he's also writing this to this Premier Zhang. So this Zhang Jiuling. I think this was also mentioned last week, right? So this is the premier, the premier in the time of Tang Xuanzong. This is the guy when the rebellion happened lah. Okay, so why is he writing this to his friend? Okay. So here at this time, so he's friends with this Premier Zhang, and now so this Premier Zhang was also friends with Wang Wei, right? Which we read last week. So here, Premier Zhang has this pretty good position, and he wants he basically is writing this to get a job. He's like, hey man, yeah, can you give me a recommendation, a letter of recommendation? Okay, I think that kind of makes more sense. Let me just see. So here in the 8th month, the waters of the lake are of a single air with heaven. And the mist from the Yun and Meng valleys has beleaguered the city of Strange. Beleaguered the city of Yuzhou. I should like to cross, but I can find no boat. So I mean the key to unlocking this is here, right? How ashamed I am to be idler than you statesman. I mean, yes, that's technically true, but I think the better translation would be like, it's like in such a, in the reign of a wise ruler, I feel ashamed to be idle. So basically, he's saying he wants a job. Yeah. Which is the better, I think in the English translation, he seems to be implying that statesmen are very free. And so it's shameful that he is even more free than them. So I think that's not a very good, yeah, I don't think that that's a good translation considering what's trying to be done here. Yeah. By saying that he's saying he is ashamed to be free. Like the idea is the same, but there's no implication that statesmen are doing nothing. Yeah. Okay. And then as I sit here and watch a fisherman casting and emptily envy him his catch. Okay. So here, I feel super distracted. I really need to. Damn, I suddenly have this terrible stomach ache. Is there a way I can pause this and come back in like 10 minutes? So embarrassing. Okay, I'm just gonna pause this, okay? I don't know if I can focus. Okay, let's try a bit more. Let's try a bit more. Okay, so yes, I think the fisherman casting, right? It seems like a pretty classic metaphor for sort of attracting men of talent. I think this is metaphor of like let's see if it mentions here, but this famous story is called like what it's like 愿者上钩, right? So 上钩. So let's see. It's just a story like there's this famous person, Jiang Taigong. This is a historical figure who he's very important because he's like the main strategist for the founder of the Zhou dynasty, who is like, so that is like the exemplar that that everyone's like looking back to, right? So this Zhou dynasty. So this is very important. And apparently when this guy, he's this very talented strategist, minister, but he trusts that he has talent and he's not going to like just work for anyone. And so he's instead of like searching for a job actively, he's just like fishing. Every day he just like fishes and waits for like a wise ruler to come. So but then he fishes in this very special way. He doesn't use any bait. The the hook is not in the water also. It's like much higher. It's like several like feet above the water. And then when he's like fishing, he's just like mumbling to himself. It sounds kind of psycho at this point, but it's like supposed to be very wise. So he says like, oh, when I fish, it's only those who are willing that will come to the hook. Yeah. And so obviously people are like, wow, you're freaking insane. But the idea is that he knows that he's very talented, and then it's only the people who can recognize that who will hire him, and then they will come without him seeking for it. Yeah. And ultimately someone did come, and then he obviously became very famous because there's a Wikipedia page about him. I think that's sort of what he's getting at here when he's talking about the fishing. So yeah, so he's envying him his catch. So I think he's envying that someone's coming to. I do think this is an allusion to the 任者上钩 so the willing will come to be caught. Yeah, I think that's sort of the allusion here that I don't think was pointed out. Yeah, so at least that's for the last few lines, but I'm not sure what about the first few. So I mean, clearly, I wonder if the first few lines are like a reflection of the state of the empire, like how peaceful it is. Because I mean he does say that. So this is not in the again, it's not in the English, right? This translation here, but he says like, you know, how ashamed I am to be unemployed in the reign of a wise ruler, right? Or it's like a time of peace, some kind of golden age. And I think if he's transitioning towards that, the imagery in the first four lines, it would make sense that it's sort of alluding towards that or his own situation. Because right now it's like it has 8 lines, right? So the first 4 lines has to be doing something. So let's see. We're saying the waters of the lake are so flat and like peaceful, not in the English again. And yeah, it's sort of like mixing with the vapors of heaven. Yeah. And okay, yeah, and they form a mist with the air from the Rin and Meng Valley. So even though this is concretely describing the lake, but there has to be some metaphorical work being done here, right? This next part, it's I think the ripples have shook the 岳阳城. Okay. So here's my initial reading, which is that the empire is very peaceful, but there are still ripples. So like, you know, the rule is good, but you still need good people like me. And then I'm also looking for someone, just like how there's no boat to help me cross the river. But you know, I'm like the fisherman, you know, and I need someone who's wise enough to see my talents to find me. So he's saying he's not gonna beg, basically, but he's not gonna beg for a job, but he thinks that he needs a job. He wants a job, but he's not gonna beg for it, and he thinks that you should probably offer him a job, but in like a non-demanding way. Wow, shit, these 8 lines are doing a lot of work. Like, it's at least 40 characters. He's like, yeah, you know, like, now that I think about it, it's doing so much work. It's like, I want a job. I'm not gonna ask for a job. But also, you need me, but not in an insulting way. And these guys are so, he's really good. Interesting. Wow. But at least that's my reading. I do follow the Wikipedia page here in saying that, he wants a job. I think if I didn't know that, and if I just read this, I'll be very confused. But I do think it can be read this way, or it should be read this way because of this line number 6, which is how ashamed he is to be, just sitting there idly, in a prosperous age. Yeah. So, so I'm looking at some famous critics. Let's see. Uh, I do wonder why he uses the device of the lake. Is he just saying like you can send your letters to me, you can send me, if you want to hire me, I'll be at this lake. Right, that would be pretty smart actually. But I'm sure he'll be traveling, right? I don't understand how. This is weird, right? This is like the first half has very like written with a lot of like style, like a lot of force, a lot of authority almost, and the second half is very like weak. Do you think so? I mean, I feel like a lot of times you can't really tell them apart, right? It's like it's like imagine if the story, this guy, right, he's just fishing, he's like, oh, he thinks he's very talented, and he thinks he needs someone who's worth working for to come find him. But imagine if no one came. He just seems like really pathetic, right? Like if someone came, you'd be like, wow, he must be really talented. But if no one came, you'd be like, well, this guy's insane. He doesn't know how the world works. But I mean, but the talent doesn't change, right? He would have been just as talented either way. And yeah. So I think it's kind of, to say that the second half is like kind of weak. Sure, I guess, but I don't think these are, or maybe he's not. So I don't think these are necessarily in contradiction, I guess. It really depends on the context in which you're seeing it. And maybe that's what this guy is saying. I mean, but I do think he's making a implicit criticism of the second half, though, to say that it's kind of weaker than the first half. Yeah. But I think this sort of conveys the sentiment better, where the first half has more like, yeah, I think it has more striking like lines. It's more impactful. But I think the second half, he says the second half like is more supplicating. I think that's a better word. It's not like it's weak, right? But it's like he's asking for something and he knows that, and he's saying that he's kind of sad that he doesn't have it, right? And that's I think that's fair. It's probably more it's a better description than saying it's kind of weak, you know. Yeah. So mm, that's very interesting. Yeah, this is sort of what I was wondering. It's like why talk about this lake in the first half, right? But here he's saying that, you know, it's because he can't talk about it directly. He has to, in order to talk about it indirectly, you need something to talk about directly, right? Like you need a subject that's not really the subject, right? And I guess the lake would do pretty well since it's such a famous, it's just a place where people write a lot of poems. And you know, if he does tie them really well, he can talk about, you know, this fishing and like I have no boat. And hmm, overall just very I don't know, this guy got, how do you say now? He's got the riz. Well, not really, right? He's not being charismatic per se here. I think he's being very diplomatic. Yeah. So interesting. Just like imagine if you wrote this as like your cover letter for a job. It's pretty but somehow it works. Or does it work? Let's see the next poem. Let's see if it does work. But well, okay, now he's just climbing a mountain, so probably still unemployed. Let's see. So he says, by Meng Haoran again, 与诸子登岘山, but I'm climbing Xian Mountain, I guess, with friends. I feel like the transliteration is often wrong for these English translations. So yeah, like when they're like Yuzhou, I I I mean this is 岳阳, right? So I'm not sure why this is, yeah, very strange. Okay. Maybe it was like some autocorrect thing. Right. Right. So I'll just read the poem. 人事有代谢，往来成古今。江山留胜机，我辈复登临。水落鱼梁浅，天寒梦则生。阳公悲自在，独霸泪沾襟。While worldly matters take their turn, ancient, modern, to and fro, rivers and mountains are changeless in their glory, and still to be witnessed from this trail, where a fisher boat dips by a waterfall, where the air grows colder deep in the valley, the monument of Yang remains, and we have wept reading the words. Well, first thing, what the heck is going on? What's the context, right? Um, so okay, so apparently he still hasn't gotten a job. So he's like, well, let's go mountain climbing. And then there he sees this inscription by Yang Gu. This, but who is this guy? So apparently, strategist, politician, literary critic, I guess. But dude, this page is so long. So why? How does this relate to him on the mountain? All right, let's see the context. So apparently he so essentially apparently Yang Gu said this line. So ever since there was the universe, there was this mountain, and um, from then, virtuous and talented people have summited here to gaze afar, and just like what me and my friend is doing, but now they have all disappeared and are unknown, and this is very tragic. Yeah. Okay, interesting. So I guess what the original poem is saying, or what the original inscription is saying, he's really lamenting that there's all these worthy people who were unable to leave their mark on the world. Yeah. And I think that is what Meng Haoran is feeling here, because he didn't get a job, which pretty rough. I can empathize with that. So I guess he's really like riffing on that, right? So now he's saying like, he's also like looking back into the past and saying like rivers and mountains last, right? But he sort of, I think Meng Haoran's very subtle. He doesn't outright echo the sentiment here that, you know, worthy people fail to leave their mark on the world. But he's just saying, well, I've read what he said, but he doesn't say what he said, right? Let's go go through each line again. So, while worldly matters take their turn, ancient, modern, to and fro, rivers and mountains are changeless in their glory, and still we witness from this trail. So here, this really parallels what Yang Gu is writing here. So it parallels really like up to this part. And then so the second part where he's like, oh, worthy people do not leave their mark on the world, how tragic. Presumably it'll be here, but instead he says something else. He says, where a fisher boat dips by a waterfall, where the air grows colder, deep in the valley, the monument of Yang remains, and we have wept reading the words. Oh, that's very interesting though. So you see, it ends in sort of the both. It's like, oh, how sad, and this guy's like, oh, makes me cry, right? But I think the difference is that Yang Gu is saying these people have left no mark on the world, whereas he is saying that maybe that's true, but the sentiment of Yang Gu, right, actually has lasted in the form of this monument. So there is a mark being left behind, right? And what is left is enough to like cause people to weep. So that's very interesting. So I feel like this poem is almost a self-consolation. He's saying that, well, even if these talented people never get a chance uh, to fulfill their ambitions, they can still impact the world through writing, right? And that's exactly what he's doing in writing this poem. So I think it's very interesting because at first glance you'd think like he's just sort of just paraphrasing what this other guy has said, but he's actually changing it in a very interesting way while acknowledging the fact that this guy said this, right? So it's like the fact that this guy has said this, it means that he's wrong, or it's like it's not exactly wrong, but like in saying this, he has left his mark on the world. And that's what Meng Hao Ran is trying to do. That's super interesting. I wonder how the lines 5 and 6 fit though. So when a fisher boat dips by a waterfall, with the air roads colder deep in the valley. I feel like these two lines sort of like it's just conjuring this image of like kind of sinking or like cold darkness. I think the idea is that when it's kind of feels kind of hopeless, but then you read this guy's words and then just there is still hope because your words can still survive. Like you can still leave your mark through writing, through poetry. Wow. This is really good. This is really good. Okay. See, there's no live messages today. No comments from you. So let's move on. But let's look at the famous critics first, actually. Yeah. Wow, that's really good. This guy's a genius. I think he can say a lot with very little, and he always does it in a very creative way. Really cool. But it's hard because you always need the context, I think, to know what he's saying. Mm. 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 Not sure so some people are saying like the first four lines seem kind of random. And I guess yeah, it would be quite random unless you've read unless you understand the allusion of this Yang, the what Yang wrote. So mm, I think that is one challenge. I feel like his poems, at least these two, they seem to be hard to decipher on their own without the full context though. But I guess that's true of many other poems. So let's see whether the next one is also like this. So the banquet in the house of the Taoist priest Mei, 清明日宴美到释放. All right, so 零落愁春尽，开轩揽物华。突逢青鸟使，邀入赤松家。丹灶初开火，仙桃正发花。童颜若可住，可惜醉流霞。In my bed among the woods, grieving that spring must end, I lifted up the curtain on a pathway of flowers, and a flashing bluebird bade me came to the dwelling place of the red pine genie. What a flame for his golden crucible! Peach trees magical with buds, and for holding boyhood in his face, the rosy flowing wine of clouds. What? This like some Narnia vibes. What? What's going on? Okay, so he's literally going to a priest's house for a drink. Okay. Okay, so he's living in the woods. So he's not, his bed is not actually in the woods, but he has a house, right? But I think he is going for the Narnia vibes. So he's by saying like 林卧, right? He's lying in the woods almost. So in my bed among the woods, grieving that spring must end. That's very interesting. I feel like this will come back later. And I lifted up the curtain on the pathway of flowers, and the flashing bluebird bade me came to the dwelling place of the red pine genie. So I think this is, I think red pine is just another name for the priest. I don't know why he's called a genie here. It doesn't make, it's very strange because genie is is a Arabic idea, right? So very anachronistic, very geographically misplaced. But so I think it's just to the dwelling place of the priest, who's also called red pine. Let me check. Okay. So Mr. Red Pine is a legend, the name of a legendary immortal. But here it's just another way to refer to the priesta. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. I still don't think genie is the right translation. All right. And then next, what a flame for his golden crucible, peach trees magical with buds. I think this crucible is probably for him to do like alchemy and stuff. And then there are all these like peaches. So these are both things that are very associated with Taoist priests. Yeah. And his face, it's just saying his face looks very youthful. Again, linked to the crucible because that's for immortality. The peaches as well are like associated with immortality. So he looks very youthful. It's like you can live in his face. That doesn't make sense. Or can maintain. So he can maintain his youthful face forever, I guess. And this last part. So okay. So he's like, if this guy's wine, so Liu Xia here is a name of a celestial wine. So it's a mythological reference, right? And then he's like, if this guy looks like that, then why do I have to get worried about getting drunk on his wine? Like clearly whatever this guy is doing, he's doing it right. So let's just go with the flow and like do what he does. I don't think there's anything very deep about this. He's just like, this guy has like some cool shit in his house, like very on brand for a priest, and yeah, good vibes. Nice decor. Yeah, I don't think there's much to this. It's just like good vibes. Yeah. Yeah, okay. No famous critics. Okay, there's one. Nah, I don't think this. It's just this is good vibes, man. Yeah, let's move on. Okay. But really funny. Oh, it's funny that he wrote this and this is included in the 300 Tang poems, but it is a good poem, so yeah, I'm not gonna complain. All right, so then Meng Hao run again. On returning at the year's end to Zhongnan Mountain, 岁暮归南山，北阙修上书，南山归壁庐。不才明主弃，哦，多病故人疏。白发催年老，青阳逼岁余。永怀愁不寐，松月夜窗湿。I petition no more at the North Palace gate to this tumble-down hut on Zhongnan Mountain. I was banished from my blunders by a wise ruler. I have been sick so long I see none of my friends. My white hairs hasten my decline, like pale beams ending the old year. Therefore I lie awake and ponder on the pine-shadowed moonlight in my empty window. What? So he got a job and he quickly lost it? That's really fast. Okay. Okay, so he's 40 now. He went to for the Imperial Examination, and he's just really upset because he did get his friend's recommendation. He got Premier Zhang and Wang Wei, the guy who we read previously, and he's also famous for his poems. So now he's like, well, you know, I just gotta, but I just gotta pass the test, but he failed. And so he feels very like just very upset. And he even considered writing directly to the emperor, but then he also like hesitates. So it's just very complicated emotions. Very interesting, interesting. Let's read through the poem again now that we see this. See this. I petition no more at the North Palace gate. Because he was writing to the emperor. Okay. And then to this tumble-down hut on Zhongnan Mountain. I was banished from my blunders by a wise ruler. So it's not really banished. When I read this, when I read the Chinese, I didn't read it as banished as well. But it could be read that. I think it was like forsaken or just like, yeah, discarded. I don't think this necessarily implies that he had a job. Yeah. So I don't think he had a job. So it's just like overlooked might even be a good translation here. And I have been sick so long, I see none of my friends. It feels almost like, I know it's like back to where he lives, but it almost feels like, oh, it feels like he's just like running away in failure, right? Like, is he really not seeing people because he's sick or because he's ashamed? He just feels like, yeah, is he just ashamed that he never didn't get the job despite such good recommendations? He says, my white hairs hasten my decline. Okay. Like pale beams ending the old year. That's a really good, this is a really good line, by the way. Therefore, I lie awake and ponder on the pine-shadowed moonlight in my empty window. Wow. He's not that old, right? He's like 40, but he's like growing white hairs. And he's thinking, what am I doing with my life? Yeah, wow. What a vibe. What a vibe. I can totally relate to this. I mean, I'm not 40, but this idea that, you put in so much work for something and like it not panning out, it just feels like everything was meaningless. Yeah. Mm. And I like how the poem ends with him just like there's no resolution because he is not experiencing a resolution, right? He's just awake, thinking, lost. And the year is ended. Feels like his life has ended, his ambitions have ended. But he's still alive, so he has to find a way to keep living. Yeah. Oh, this guy is so relatable. I don't know. I like him. Yeah. I thought I would like Wang Wei, but this guy, I feel like everything he says, I can kind of get. Yeah. Okay. Let's see then next. Um. What? Did this really happen? Hmm. This doesn't make sense though. And this is later on. Oh, this is so fascinating. So his friend Wang Wei then privately invited Meng Haoran to the just inside the palace and to meet the emperor. Oh, he was lying down, and then the emperor came, and he was very scared, so he hid under the bed. And then Wang Wei is like just told the truth, and then the emperor is like, "Hey man, I heard of you, but I've never seen you. So why are you so afraid and hiding?" So he's like, "Come out, bro." And then Haoran came out, and then the emperor asked about his poem. Then the Wang Haoran greeted him, and then he recited this poem exactly. But when he reached the part where he says, "Here, I've been banished from my blunders by a wise ruler." Then the emperor says, "Oh, but you didn't uh try for the you didn't ask me for the position, and I never abandoned you. So, oh, you never asked for the position. That's why I didn't reject you. So, why are you accusing me? Why are you falsely accusing me?" And because of this, he was asked to return. Damn. So this poem actually like screwed him up. Wow. Hmm. Damn, that's a crazy story. Why is he hiding under the bed though? This guy kind of wacky. What? Wow, that's such a great line. How to say in a poem where his whole life he has failed to get what he wants, but he is remembered for it, for the work for eternity. It's like, wow, interesting. So I guess the emperor also was annoyed that he was described as abandoning him, but because the guy never actually wrote to the emperor, I guess. But I think it's pretty funny that this poem cost him the job though in the end. Okay, maybe let's move to the next one. Stopping at a friend's farmhouse, 过故人庄. What a strange opening line, but okay. So, 故人具鸡黍，邀我至田家。绿树村边合，青山郭外斜。开轩面场补，把酒话桑麻。待到重阳日，晚来就菊花。Preparing me chicken and rice, old friend. You entertain me at your farm. We watch the green trees that circle your village and the pale blue of outlying mountains. We open your window over garden and field to talk mulberry and hemp with our cup in our hands. Wait till the mountain holiday. I'm coming again in chrysanthemum time. So I just laughed when it's like preparing me chicken and rice. Chicken rice is a very Singaporean dish. So I'm like, are you in Singapore, bro? Okay, so why? So he's just at a farm, okay, and they're just chilling. I think that's literally what's happening, right? Like, what else is there? Okay, there are some famous critics here. Let's read it one more time. I say, well, okay. Yep, you're literally, you're making me some simple food, I guess. But he's making chicken though, so like, I don't know, man. Like you're killing a chicken for him. That sounds like a big deal. And then you invited him to his farm, yeah, and watch the green trees and the pale blue. Oh, that's really nice, actually. Very peaceful. You open your window over garden and field. To talk mulberry and hemp with our cups in our hands. Mulberry, this is where silk comes from, right? The silkworms eat these of this tree. I guess hemp, they just use it for other farm stuff. So I guess they're just talking about like how his farm is doing. Yeah. And then wait till the mountain holiday, just another important day, and then some festival day, and then I'm coming again in chrysanthemum time. So he's coming to see, I guess, when the chrysanthemums bloom. I don't think there's much to say. It's just like having fun with his friend, just like talking about simple things. Say, oh, how's your harvest? How's the silkworms? And like, oh, I'm gonna come again when the flowers are blooming. That's really nice. That's really nice. Okay. Interesting. Let me Google this character. So there's quite a bit of commentary about this character. I mean, there's the obvious one, but that's not because this is a pretty common character in Chinese, in Mandarin. But I'm trying to see what the literary meaning is. I thought it would be like to meet Okay, okay, I guess not. It's just the verbs here are to come towards, to belong to, okay? To that makes sense. I was gonna say it's to meet, but that makes what they said makes sense as well. So there's a bit of commentary about this character where it says like, so literally it's like I am coming, I'm returning to 救 the chrysanthemum, right? I'm coming. So these are all the meanings of the 救 here. So other people are saying, well, if he said something like, I'm coming to see the chrysanthemums, it wouldn't be as good. Or if I'm coming to get drunk on it or come face to face with it, but apparently there are various editions where so this character has been like edited and changed, but the one has been preserved is Jill. And they're saying that Jill is just really good. You see, here, this guy saying it, this guy saying it, this guy saying it. It's just like, you never think of Jill. Like, it's so hard to think of it, but it's just very well chosen. Like, if you just said to see the chrysanthemums, it isn't good, as good. Okay, I think I can see it. So it returns to just to 救 to to move towards to I think the belong to is sort of the dimension that is missing in just saying to see. Yeah. I guess there's also the idea of motion here, right? Yeah. Well, doesn't much alter the meaning of the poem, but interesting because so many of the critics are talking about it here. Yeah, okay. Next. I think how many have we done today? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're halfway through. This will be the sixth one. Okay, from Qin country to the Buddhist priest Ren. 秦中感秋寄远上人，一秋长日卧，三金苦无资，北土非物任，东临怀我师，黄金染贵尽，壮志逐年衰，日夕凉风至，稳禅淡一杯。How gladly I would seek a mountain if I had enough means to live as a recluse. For I turn at last from serving the state to the eastern woods temple and to you, my master. By ashes of gold in a cinnamon flame, my youthful desires have been burnt with the years. And tonight in the chilling sunset wind, a cicada singing weighs on my heart. So what's the context for this? So this is after what happened, right? He didn't get his job. He didn't pass the exam. And then usually usually people will just stay in the capital and just study again to try to take the exam again. So maybe he was thinking of that, but when autumn came, he just couldn't live in Chang'an anymore. So he wrote the poem to his friend Ren Shangren, or Buddhist priest Ren, to sort of share how he feels. Okay, so I thought he would be in the temple, but here He's actually still in the capital and he's going to leave. Oh. Okay, how gladly I would seek a mountain if I had enough means to live as a recluse. If I turn at last from serving the state to the Eastern Woods Temple and to you, my master. So he's like, I'm giving up on this exam. I'm just gonna come find you. And next, like ashes of gold in a cinnamon flame. Wow, that's really good. My youthful desires have been burnt with the years. And tonight, in the chilling sunset wind, a cicada sings, a cicada singing weighs on my heart. The image here in English is pretty good. Unfortunately, it's not in the Chinese. But I like the idea of like this song weighing, because like a song has no weight, right? So that's pretty smart. But it's not here. It just says carrying the cicada, it only deepens my sorrow. So let's see. Well, not a lot of critics comments on this. I like this though. Like there's not much to say because I think his writing is generally just like very clear. Like, yeah, he's just saying like how he's feeling. Like it's very clear, but it's just, I don't know, man. I can just empathize with this guy, I guess. Or I guess everyone likes the underdog, right? So, tonight in the chilling sunset wind, a cicada singing weighs on my heart. I wonder if this is after he met the emperor and like permanently failed to get a job. Yeah. My youthful desires have been burnt with the years. More precisely, my youthful ambitions, I guess, have been have declined with the years. Have declined as I age. Yeah. And I think a lot of my friends, from what I hear, they're facing a similar disillusionment as well. So quite a vibe, quite a vibe. They also like the line that I liked, which is the like ashes of gold in a cinnamon flame. Wow. Yeah. Not much to say. Not many famous critics, so let's go on. But damn, poor guy. I noticed most of these poems are like to his friends. It's just pretty cool. Shoot. Okay. Here, from a mooring on Tonglu, from Tonglu to a friend in Yangzhou. So 宿桐庐江寄广陵旧游，山明听猿愁。沧江急夜流，风鸣两岸月。月照一孤舟，见得非吾土。维扬忆旧游，还将两行泪。遥寄海西头。With monkeys whimpering on the shadowy mountain, and the river rushing through the night, and the wind in the leaves along both banks, and the moon athwart my solitary sail. I, a stranger in this inland district, homesick for my Yangzhou friends, send eastward 2 long streams of tears to find the nearest touch of sea. What? Why is he traveling here? Okay, so this after he left the capital, he's like given up, right? Really sad. So he wanted to just like have this like river trip. But on the river, he misses his friends and he writes this. Okay. So he's not at like home, right? He's sort of like in the middle of sort of in between, which is why he's not in the capital fulfilling his dreams. He's not at home. He's just he has neither familiarity nor like I guess excitement. He's just sort of adrift, right? Like literally adrift, right? Under a river. So I think is it like he hears the monkeys, he's like, oh, even these monkeys have friends, but my friends are not here. That's so weird. Okay, so with monkeys whimpering on a shadowy mountain and a river rushing through the night. Okay. And the wind in the leaves along both banks, and the moon athwart my solitary sail. Yep. I, a stranger in this inland district, homesick for my Yangzhou friends. Wow, I love this last part. Send eastward 2 long streams of tears to find the nearest touch of sea. Wow, this final image is so good. Mm, his tears are because he's on the water. The water was kind of what separates them, but now it's what's connecting them. It's really good. That's really good. Okay, not much to say. Like it's just, and he just writes it like so obviously that you don't really have to analyze it, but I still find it very, very powerful. Yeah. So these critics, there's really nothing. It's just like third and fourth line, they're very, very realistic, I guess. And the wind and the leaves along both banks, and the moon athwart my solitary sail. Yeah, nothing to say. Let's just move on. Okay. Taking leave of Wang Wei. 留别王是日未为. Yeah. This is the poet we just read last week. That's pretty cool. All right. 寂寂竟何待？朝朝空自归。日寻芳草去，夕与故人违。当路谁相甲？知音是所惜。只应守寂寞，还引故人悲. Slow and reluctant, I have waited. Day after day, till now I must go. How sweet the roadside flowers might be, if they did not mean goodbye, old friend. The lords of the realm are harsh to us, and men of affairs are not our kind. I'll turn back now, I will say no more. I will close the gate of my old garden. I think this happened after the encounter with the emperor. Is that why? Well, okay. Oh, so apparently the hiding under the bed and the emperor said getting annoyed, that was supposed to happen before he left the capital. Yeah, but this is written, but regardless of that, um, I'm not sure, and the story might or might not be reliable. But anyway, now he says, yeah, I'm going to leave the capital, and that's why he's writing his friend. So if the bid thing happened, that was before this poem. Okay. Oh, where is this? Ah. Though slow and reluctant, I have waited day after day till now I must go. How sweet the roadside flowers might be if they did not mean goodbye, old friend. And there's not much to say. It's just it's really good, but it's exactly what it says, right? Like, and then next, the lords of the realm are harsh to us, and men of affairs are not our kind. I will turn back home. I will say no more. I will close the gate of my old garden. It's this, yeah, he's that's exactly what it says. Yeah, he's gonna leave, and I mean, as he says this, it's more than just leaving, right? It's he's leaving his dreams behind. Yeah, yeah. That's there's nothing to say that I haven't said already today, but yeah, very very powerful. Like it's just so simple that it's very powerful because it's yeah. I mean, he's just saying it like it is. Yeah, this is just says true emotion. True though, true though. It is really powerful. Yeah. Okay. Second last poem. Memories in Early Winter. Oh, this is the last poem we have with Meng Haoran. So let's see. Wow. Memories in Early Winter. 早寒江上有怀，木落雁南渡。北风江上寒。我家湘水曲，遥隔楚云端。湘泪客中尽，孤帆天际看。迷津日有问，平海夕漫漫。South go the wild geese, for leaves are now falling, and the water is cold with a wind from the north. I remember my home, but the Xiang River's curves are walled by the clouds of this southern country. I go forward, I weep till my tears are spent. I set a sail in the far sky. Where is the ferry? Will somebody tell me? It's growing rough, it's growing dark. This guy's life is so sad. Wow. Okay. So now he is just going on a trip, I guess. Mm. Let's just read it again now. I mean, like all the poems today, every time he's describing the scenery, he's really trying to express how he feels, right? So, south go the wild geese, for leaves are now falling, and the water is cold with a wind from the north. So here it's talking about. I think the seasonal setting is very important, right? It's winter, things are dying, it's cold, and I remember my home, but the Xiang River's curves are walled by the clouds of this southern country. He's thinking of home, but it's sort of blocked by where he is. Maybe this is a sense that he wants to leave. I go forward. I weep till my tears are spent. And we know why he's crying, right? I see a sail in the far sky. Where's the ferry? Will somebody tell me? It's growing rough, it's growing dark. Don't you think this goes full circle? The very first poem today, he says, I need a boat. I need someone to help me. And now it has failed. And then the boat comes in again as the symbol of hope. Yeah. So where is the ferry? Will somebody tell me? It's growing rough. It's growing dark. Wow. What a ride. This guy's life is so. I feel like it's his life that makes the poems like more powerful. Yeah. And, he doesn't really say why he's weeping, right? It's like sort of out of nowhere. It's like, oh, it's winter, I'm gonna cry. Is he crying every winter? But I think we all know why he's crying, yeah, and why he's just searching for this fairy, like the hope, like the power, just something to keep living for, I guess. Yeah. Wow. It's like, wow, it's so powerful. It's so sad. Okay, none of these comments are very useful. I guess because he writes so directly, it's like, what's there to say, man? Like, the poem is still good. It's really good, but it's just you don't have to analyze all. Yeah. Wow. Now we're in the last poem of the day. I wonder if we'll be spending a lot of poems with him. Oh, I guess we will be. Okay. This Liu Changqing. Almost tempted to leave it for next week so we can. All right, I'm just gonna look through. Oh, okay. So we're not staying with him that long. Just like 3 or 4 poems. Okay, so I guess it doesn't hurt to start. All right, so climbing in autumn for a view from the temple on the terrace of General Wu. 秋日登吴公台上，似一人跳跳。古台摇落后，秋日望乡心。也似人来少，云峰水隔深。夕阳依旧叠，寒庆满空林。愁长南朝事，长江独至今。So autumn breaks my homesick heart. Feel pilgrims venture climbing to a temple so wild. Up from the lake in the mountain clouds, sunset clings in the old defenses. A stone gong shivers through the empty woods. There's a line missing here. Of the Southern Dynasty, what remains? Nothing but a great river. Okay, let's see what. So autumn breaks my homesick heart. Okay, so it's missing the first line. The first line should be like the old platform is shaking. Okay, the old platform is shaking and the grasses have wilted. And the context here is after the Anlushan rebellion. I mean, after it began, so I guess it's during. And then the Luoyang, this Liu Changqing lived for a long time, has fallen into the hands of the rebel army. And so he was sort of forced to another place. So he comes to this Wugong Tai, and now he's just writing. Okay, so I mean, sort of fallen. It's first sign of like the old platform sort of being decrepit. I mean, clearly it's a reflection of the state of the empire, right? So autumn breaks my homesick heart. It's like, things are not going well. Few pilgrims venture climbing to a temple so wild, up from the lake in the mountain clouds. Sunset clings in the old defenses. A stone gong shivers through the empty woods. Of the Southern Dynasty, what remains? Nothing but the great river. So he's reflecting on the transience of things, the transience of empires especially, right? He talks about Southern Dynasty, which obviously is because his own government, his own state, his own empire is on the brink of collapse. Yeah. And I'm kind of curious what's the Southern Dynasty. I think other than that, not much else to say. Even here, the famous critics, not much, just looking through. So why don't we end it by looking at what the Southern Dynasty is? There's no note here, but okay, just the Southern dynasties. So these are all so just the previous short-lived dynasties that were in this place. And he's thinking, well, he's basically wondering if his own dynasty will meet the same fate, right? Will itself be short-lived? Yeah, I guess that's it for today. I didn't do much analysis, but I do think all the poems are really good. So it's exactly what it says. You don't need me to interpret it if it's exactly what it says, right? Yeah. So, okay. So thanks for tuning in today. And I'll see you all next week at the same time. And yeah, I hope this was fun. I hope at least I helped fill in this missing line here. So I hope I was kind of useful. All right. I'll see you and